Hi there. In this business topic video, we're going to take a look at one of the most popular theories of motivation at work. It's the famous Maslow hierarchy of needs. Now, of course, Maslow is just one of several popular and important theorists of motivation at work that it's likely you'll need to be familiar with as part of your studies, including, of course, old Frederick Taylor, the scientific management approach, and Hertzberg, who took a very different view to Taylor as to how to motivate people at work. But for this, we'll just look at Maslow and the thing he's most famous for, the hierarchy of needs. Maslow, like so many of the motivational theorists, was a psychologist, and he was intrinsically interested in what motivated people. What were the factors that determined the level of motivation? And in a seminal study published back in 1943 entitled A Theory of Human Motivation, Maslow stated that people have essentially 5 sets of needs which come in a particular order. And this approach to human needs has been very influential in determining how motivation at work is viewed. The essential argument in terms of the needs is that these levels are all those which employees find they need to have fulfilled at work. And you work up the hierarchy from the bottom. So it's only once the lowest level of need has been fully met before the next need becomes important to an employee or worker. And therefore, in terms of motivation at work, what a business needs to do is to try to find ways of offering incentives to employees in order for them to feel that each need has been met, and therefore they have an incentive to progress up the hierarchy of needs. Before we look at how this maps to what happens at work, let's just quickly look at the 5 core levels in Maslow's hierarchy. It starts right down at the bottom with the psychological needs, the needs of all of us for the basics, for food, for warmth, for shelter. Once those are met, we then, if you believe Maslow, we then look for safety. We look for that job security, the knowledge that when we get up in the morning, the job will be there for us to do. And when we get there, we'll be working in an environment that's safe, that's predictable. Once we've achieved that level of assurance about that need, we look for a higher level need, the social need. Not only do we go to work to feel safe and have our basic needs met, but also we want to be part of something. We want to feel that belonging to a team or to an organisation or a business. And we also want to feel wanted and appreciated. That's a key part of a social need. Once that need is met, we can move further up the hierarchy still and try to address the needs of esteem. Esteem is all about self-respect. It's about status. Have we reached a level at work where we feel as though our skills and abilities are recognised and we have some status at work? And once we've achieved the esteem need, although Maslow recognised that relatively few people eventually make it to the top of the hierarchy, we look for self-actualisation. This is going well beyond the need for being part of a team, feeling belonging and status. This is about intellectual fulfillment of needs, fulfilling our true potential, being stretched and challenged to achieve targets. Now, let's just quickly map that hierarchy of needs to some examples as to how you might map that in terms of motivational methods. Right down at the bottom of the hierarchy, but at the top of this table, clearly the physiological needs are all around the basics of acceptable pay, proper working conditions and safety. Clearly that's all about health and safety, job security. When it comes to meeting social needs, there's clearly a role to be played from allowing or encouraging workers to work together in teams, perhaps to mix between the different disciplines, to provide them with the facilities to enjoy their time together at work and to socialise. But it goes beyond that. It's also about making sure that everyone feels that they are being appraised and mentored and appropriately trained as part of their social needs. The whole esteem piece is covered by the classic elements of the organisational hierarchy in terms of job design, job title, who has decision making within that job role, where decision is made within the hierarchy, but it goes beyond that as well in terms of the amount of trust that's placed in someone at work, and also whether their achievements are recognised, and to what extent achievement is linked with financial reward. But finally, the self-actualization, the top of the hierarchy, is all about enabling people to stretch themselves and completely fulfill their potential within the organisation. It's about encouraging them to seek internal promotion opportunities, to take on greater responsibilities at work. Job enrichment, a great example of that. Adding to, extending the challenges and the elements of the work, often making it more complex. So you can see there's a whole bunch of different ways in which work can be motivating, or employers can make work more motivating, that link quite nicely to the hierarchy of needs. However, Maslow's hierarchy has been around a long time, and it's not without its criticisms, even though it remains hugely influential. And of course, the key criticism to make about it is that, of course, as individuals, we are all different, and therefore we don't all have the same needs. Now, Maslow would argue that therefore we'll find ourselves at different places within the hierarchy when it comes to motivation at work. But it is true, of course, isn't it, that our perception of what matters at work varies, and it varies not only between us but also over time. So people coming into work at the start of their careers are looking for job security and then promotion opportunities, but as you spend more time at work, different factors become more important. And it's also important to say that the vast majority of people rarely find themselves at the top of the organisational hierarchy. So you might argue that the self-actualisation element is actually the hardest to achieve. Well, Maslow's been around a long time, and of course, if you've been a fan of social media, you'll have spotted that an even more basic need has been identified, which has been added to the hierarchy of needs. It's known as Wi-Fi or 4G. Actually, I've also recently seen maybe a seventh level, which is battery power on a smartphone. Maybe you agree or disagree with that, but it's proof that the Maslow hierarchy of needs has been an incredibly popular and well-known model of motivation at work. So there we go, a brief introduction to one of the most famous theories of motivation, Maslow's hierarchy of needs.